Welcome back, this is CerealSnax. Today I'm playing a game called Smite, a MOBA game, which stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. And really what it is, it's very similar to other games that I've reviewed, like League of Legends and Dota 2. It probably bears most similarity to Super Monday Night Combat in many ways. It's a third-person shooter type kind of thing, like Super Monday Night Combat. It's actually a little bit closer though to maybe a Diablo kind of game from a closer up view. You can see that you can pick the type of god that you want to make, and of course there's a lot that are locked and you need to buy with gems or favor, which you get by, of course, playing the game. You can accrue the gems and the favor just by playing. Now the gems actually you have to pay cash for. You can buy characters that way, although the gods only cost about $2 to $4, I would say, per god, and that's quite a bit cheaper than Super Monday Night Combat. I believe the players there were anywhere between $5 and $10, so that's kind of a neat thing. I've queued up for a game here and kind of show you what's going on. Now the one issue I do have with it is a lot of the gods are locked, so you tend to see the same 5 gods basically every game: Sun Wukong, Artemis, the Ymir, and then you see Kali, Ra, and then there's a 5th one that you also see. Usually you see all 5 of those in every game, just because people haven't been able to unlock the gods yet, so you just don't see them that often. I've picked Artemis because she's ranged. Now one thing that's a little different from League of Legends and Dota 2 and all that is it allows you to auto-level your skills and auto-level your items. I'm doing that just because I'm not too familiar with the items and the skills yet, so I've kind of just letting it pick them for me. That's probably puts me at a disadvantage to some extent, but it keeps me from having to waste a lot of time each time I respawn or I'm at the store to buy stuff. Unlike Super Monday Night Combat, the skills and the items that you purchase are actually a little bit more complicated during the game. A lot like Dota 2, there's a little bit more variety and differentiation between the items. Whereas in Super Monday Night Combat, you really are just working on 3 skills that you have to work on for each character. So you can see we've got our group here. And like I said, we've got the same 5 gods on each team, so that's kind of to be expected right now. Now, there's a few other things that are different from Super Monday Night Combat that I found. Of course, you know, it's the same thing. The game starts, you know, gives you some time to run around. You can see there's a Guardian in here. He's a Minotaur, and like the Money Ball in Super Monday Night Combat, the Minotaur needs to be destroyed to win the game. There's also these Phoenixes. I just ran by one, and I can talk about that later once we get to a part where we're actually dealing with the Phoenix. But killing the Phoenix actually empowers the other team's units. Now you can see I'm running down the lane, and if you look at the overhead map on the right, there's 3 lanes that the game has, and each lane, of course, has the bots basically that spawn. I call them bots because that's what Super Monday Night Combat calls them, but in this game they are like Roman warriors basically, just because of the god aspect of it. And in the middle you can see the jungle area, and in Super Monday Night Combat a lot of times that jungle area, I guess in quotes, is up above. And in this game it tends to be just the forest around, much like Dota 2 and League of Legends and that sort of thing. So there's also towers, and you can see it, the enemy tower in the distance there, and our tower behind me. You can see since the units haven't been sent out, the creep units for each team, I'm actually just kind of, you know, sniping at the other team. It's kind of funny, on this lane that I'm in, we're actually have the same 2 gods fighting each other, Artemis and this Ymir guy. So I really like Artemis just because she's ranged, and so you can kind of just sit back and just plunk your bow. As Sun Wukong and Ymir, you kind of have to get close to your opponents, and that inevitably gets me killed, so I like to have the Artemis type character. It also is very reminiscent of Super Monday Night Combat in the Megabeth character. I really like Megabeth because she's kind of that ranged striker type class. I guess that's what I just gravitate towards, and Artemis is similar in that respect. There are those kind of categories of classes amongst the gods. You have like the melee type, defender type like Ymir, and the DPS kind of stuff like Sun Wukong, who's a melee DPS, and you got your support classes and that sort of thing. So it's very similar in many respects. You also level up when you kill the units, so a lot of times I still focus on that. As long as you're close to the units, you get your experience, and if you've done a little bit of damage, you get that experience. You can see I just leveled up, and of course, since I have skills auto training, it automatically trains me on those skills. So pretty impressive game actually. It is different. It feels a little slower paced than Super Monday Night Combat. The weapons seem like they seem a little bit more weighty, and by that I mean when I'm attacking these enemies I feel like I'm able to kill them quicker, and I also feel like they just have more power than Super Monday Night Combat. The game is also a little bit slower paced than Super Monday Night Combat. There's not as much frenetic movement, so it's not as much like a first-person shooter kind of game. It's, like I said, much more like a Diablo, like a Dota 2. So I'd say it's somewhere in the middle between Dota 2 and Super Monday Night Combat in terms of how much it needs you to be kind of a Twitch gamer, in that you need to move quickly and react quickly. A lot of it's more just strategy and getting in the right place at the right time. And you can see this other Artemis down here is a level 2, and I'm level 3 already, so it makes her at a disadvantage to some extent. Artemis is a cool character because you can see those. I killed her. The arrows that do an area effect kind of attack. It's like a rain of fire, kind of a rain of arrows that she shoots out. She also has a skill, it's on my second button down there, that actually powers up your bow for a few seconds. And then the first skill, which I don't use as much, and that's why auto training skills is kind of bad, because it keeps auto training it. But that first skill is a root skill, which obviously is pretty powerful to root enemy players, but I try not to get close enough to enemy players to really get rooted ever. So I'm just going to keep plunking away at this lane. Another thing about this game is that it seems like, because of its slower pace, the games actually take longer, in my opinion, on average than Super Monday Night Combat. And I already thought that Super Monday Night Combat games were a little bit long-winded to begin with, and these games, seem even longer. I'd say a Super Monday Night Combat game runs between 20 and 30 minutes on average, although sometimes it can run longer, whereas this game seems like it runs over 30 minutes most of the time. Unless there is a cool feature that in some games you can actually do a vote to surrender. So you can actually choose to end the game early if you know your team's losing. That's a neat feature that Super Monday Night Combat doesn't have. It allows you just to get out of the game quickly if you're just suffering a terrible defeat and really you're just prolonging the inevitable. I kind of like that. That's a neat kind of thing. So in this video I'm going to edit out portions because inevitably the game will go that length of time and it'll just be too long of a video to show you the whole game. You can see I keep pulling up the... Well, let's talk about this, what he's doing here. So he was going into a hiding spot and teleporting back. I'm going to do the same here. And you can see I edited some of the video there just to show you I was really just fighting in the lane. And when you go back here you can actually buy a bunch of stuff. You can see what I've purchased, and of course it's auto purchasing for me, equipment. But what that was you can actually recall to your base. That's another thing that Super Monday Night Combat doesn't have, is the ability to teleport back to your base to heal up. It really saves you a lot of time from having to run all the way back. Especially since these maps tend to be quite a bit larger than Super Monday Night Combat, and they're very reminiscent of like the Dota 2 type maps where it's quite a distance to get to the main action. I'm kind of hanging out in this right lane for now. That's just kind of my, for some reason I just tend to go towards the right lane. But the nice thing about this too is that overhead map. That's another thing that you don't see in Super Monday Night Combat. It gives you the opportunity to tell what's going on around you, and I'm not saying that this game is necessarily better than Super Monday Night Combat. I actually find Super Monday Night Combat to be a lot of fun. I wouldn't say that this is any more fun than that. It's just different, but I'm just using that as a comparison because that's what I'm familiar with. Okay, because I'm editing out stuff here because there we go, because I don't want you to have to sit there and watch me while I'm respawning. The more you die, much like those other MOBA-type games, the more you die, the longer your respawn time becomes. And if you die too much, you're sitting there for like a minute and a half or more just waiting to get back into the action. So it's really critical that you don't die in this game. And so sometimes I've found that caution prevails. Usually if you're in a situation where you even have a remote chance of dying, it's usually better just to run away. Just because if you do die, it's such a disadvantage. Not only do you help your opponents level up, but you take yourself out of the game, and that's not good. You don't want to feed the other team by dying. See, I'm doing my little, I've got like a little hog type thing, warthog type thing that I can send out. It's a new skill that she has once she gets to a certain level, and that's kind of neat. So attacking the towers in this game is a lot like those other mobile games. I mean, it's a very similar style, of course, and I guess I keep repeating that, but it's the truth. So you take out these towers, and you can't take out the towers solo. It's not something that you can do by yourself. You have to have your NPCs aiding you, or the tower will directly target you. And the tower does so much damage that as a player character you just cannot survive it. So here's the Phoenix that I was talking about, and we're going to go after it right now. But when you destroy this Phoenix, it is a temporary buff to all of your NPC army. So if you can slay this Phoenix, it will actually buff your army, give them flaming swords, flaming weapons, which will then have a huge advantage against the opposing team's NPCs. And that Artemis is getting revenge on me for my killing her. So I've edited it out again. You can see that they've actually made it into, you can see there's the enemy Ra character. He's actually made it into our base, and we took care of him, but this isn't good news for our team. They've already broken through our defenses. They've killed our Phoenix, and you'll see here in a second that their NPCs, the new NPCs that will come down the lane, will actually have flaming weapons. They don't have them now because these are the NPCs that respond prior to killing the Phoenix. But now I'm in the middle lane, and here they are. Here are these NPCs with their fire. Now it's a temporary buff, so just like the lore of the Phoenix, once the Phoenix resurrects, the power of the Phoenix is restored back to the Phoenix and taken away from the NPCs. So since they've beaten the Phoenix, you know, they have the Phoenix's power of flame for that temporary time being. One thing that's different in this game too is that you can level up to level 20, which is quite a bit of leveling that takes place. Of course, it's probably scaled similar to Super Monday Night Combat, but I know in that game your max level is 15, and that may be part of the reason why these games feel a lot longer. You can see on the time elapsed, I've actually been playing for 27 minutes, even though I've probably edited out a bunch of footage after recording this. So I'm gonna keep fighting these. You can see they still have that buff, so it takes a fair amount of time for that Pharaoh or that Phoenix to resurrect. And see, when you get too close to those DPS melee characters, that was Kali. She's a real powerful melee DPS. If you get too close to them, you can really get torn up as a ranged character. My lessons learned there is probably that I should be teaming up with characters similar to my level. Now, if you looked at that. If you looked at this screen, you can actually see that there is one character that's level 1. He's actually, I believe, left the game. So we kind of have a little bit of a disadvantage there. You can also see that the level ranges are quite a bit different amongst the teams. Some of the characters on the team are way. This guy's level 13 on our team, and I'm actually level 18. And there's a character on my team that's level 20. So there's quite a disparity, and that's obviously not a good sign too, because this character obviously didn't get a chance to level up as quickly as he should have early in the game, and that's put him at a huge disadvantage here at the end. So while I'm respawning here, I'm just kind of watching this character. That's the nice thing about being dead. At least you can kind of see what's going on around the map while you're dead. You can see on the other team, they've all their characters are almost at level 20. I'm gonna keep just following this guy around. So they're actually attacking our Phoenix again. Our middle Phoenix is under attack. And they're back in here trying to attack our Guardian again. So that's the problem. They've got their Phoenix buff. They're attacking our Guardian. At this point, it's coming close to being an issue for us, because that puts us in a real vulnerable position on all 3 of our lanes. So you can see I'm having to run from each lane to kind of defend it. So this is not a position you want to be in a game like this. And just like the other games, once you get into this position, it becomes almost an inevitability that you're going to lose the game. I've rarely seen comebacks occur when it's come this far. Although it has happened, it's rare to see. So we probably should have put out a vote to surrender at this point, because we probably were done. But I think maybe the teams were having way too much fun. We were defending pretty well, so we decided just to keep on going with it. So there's some other stuff I haven't really talked about here. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see that I have a bottle, a potion. Each time you go to the store, you're allowed to carry 1 potion, and that makes it difficult. Although, you know, because you can buy mana potions or health potions. I've chosen with Artemis to stick with the health potions, because that's what I need. I'm typically not too low on mana, although it does happen. Usually that's the case. You can also see the gold below that, you know, continually growing as the game goes on. And it's real important, you know, as you're fighting and stuff, to go back to the store and re-upgrade your armory, because even if you level up, even if you get to level 19 or 20, which is the max level, if you haven't been going back for your upgrades, you're going to be at a severe disadvantage against the other level 20s on the other team. So it's real important to come back to this store area and make sure that you do buy those extra items. So you can see we're kind of having issues here, really on the defensive at this end point in the game. You can actually see on the top of the screen too some of my stats for my character. It's neat that they put it right there on the screen. It gives you an opportunity to see where you stand in relation. And once you get used to playing the game and have played it a number of times, you know whether your Artemis is really, or whatever character you're playing is really at the appropriate kind of damage and that sort of thing. You can also see the equipment that I have up there and whether or not it's been upgraded. The little green dots underneath the equipment actually denote whether or not it's been upgraded. So, and then of course you can see my team on the left, and like I said, the one guy has left the game, so he's just level 1 and he doesn't even have a portrait anymore, which is not good news for us, and it's obviously going to spell our end probably. So, and I'm not sure what kind of penalties they have for leaving the game. I'd like to see them add some kind of penalties for that, because too many times I've come into games in Smite where we've had one person leave and it ruins an entire 30-minute game essentially. So now, of course, some people will say, oh, well, then just get your team of 5 friends, but that's not always possible. It's not always possible to get into a game with 5 friends. So, you know, occasionally you're going to have this trouble where you're just inevitably going to lose because of it. Now, it looks like Deathlord is back. I don't know if he dropped out or if he's having issues, because he certainly wasn't here for a while, and now he's only level 13. So something's going on with maybe his connection. So maybe I was too critical of him leaving the game, but it still goes without saying that there has been too many people leaving the games, and that really does impact your ability to do well. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna teleport back. I'm level 20. I can't level up anymore, so I really have to make sure that I go back and purchase the stuff that I need. You can see I upgraded my mail just automatically because I haven't really gotten good enough to sit there and try to figure it out. Although in the next few games, now that I've played a few, I'm going to start trying the manual approach so I can focus on certain abilities and skills that I really want to have. So we're getting close to the end of the game, and one thing too, I don't know if you've noticed while I've been playing, but the field of view is very odd, and I'm not sure if that's a setting that I have and I need to figure it out, but you can see how it almost looks like you've got fisheye when you're playing. It's nice because you can see the entire lane, but I may have to get in there and adjust that. I'm getting slaughtered here by the enemy team, and I'm able to run back and try to escape, and maybe they'll ignore me for a minute and I can actually get away. And nope, can't get away. So once you get teamed up like that, it's very hard to do well. I'm just going to follow this at level 20 half basic. Nope. Our Guardian's under attack, and he has been killed. And that's it. That's the end of the game. You can see that once they defeat him, it is over. So depending on you win and you defeat, you get a certain amount of favor. You can see Artemis here playing the violin basically on her bow. But it tells you how much favor you gained on the right, your player progression on the right, your level. You can see I'm pretty low level still. This video was only recorded when I played 2 games, and then of course you can see your ranking, where you're at. So this is kind of my first impressions. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's just as much fun as Super Monday Night Combat. It's just different. So I guarantee that I'm going to be back to play more of this game just because of its fun. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my first look at Smite. Got 1,000 favor. Catch you again soon.